tell us high level how you differ from a mediator versus an attorney.
So there's a the profession I'm in would probably most easily be identified as the definition of a paralegal. However, I hold a special registration. There's a couple of states, I think five specifically in the US, that allows for a sub version of a lawyer, and it's called legal document preparer, LDA for short. And that distinction is important because people, first of all, people do not know that the LDA profession even exists. They just assume everyone out there is paralegals. And the reason I bring that up is because a paralegal, and I know you asked about attorneys and mediators, but it's also, I wanted to distinguish between what I do and paralegals. The distinction is my licensing and registration to do this comes with having to have certain requirements. So you had to have a combination of a college degree. You have to have experience working for an attorney, experience working for the courts, um, and you have to carry a bond as well. So there's criteria that have to be met, and obviously you can have criminal history, and you go through a process. Not probably not as extensive as an attorney. The education is not as extensive as an attorney, but it is there to make sure that the people that are in this profession are capable of doing it. And I bring this up because in California, most people that you see out there doing what I do, legal document preparation, don't hold the certification and registration that I have because of the challenges and requirements of doing so. And it's really highly unregulated. So most people who are hiring someone to, like, we specialize in divorce, most people that are going out and finding people to do their divorce are not registered legal document assistants, and you would never know the difference because people don't even know to ask because they don't even know it exists.
No,
So
they
there's a
would
lot of
never
people
know.
just doing
Yeah.
this under the radar. And the problem with that is that they generally don't have the training, experience, and knowledge to do things. And there'll usually be an issue with the paperwork they provide. And then that falls back. And what's frustrating to me is that falls back on me because they usually will go to them because they're a much lower cost than we are. So buyer beware if the cost seems too good to be true. And then now that their paperwork was messed up or their paperwork couldn't get finalized with the courts, now they're on high alert. Now they're talking to me, and now they're concerned about, well, how we know you're going to do the paperwork. There's just a lot of, and I've done a whole video on paralegal scams. People are out there taking people's money and then never calling them back. They're charging them to file for divorce, for instance, and they will take their money, file for divorce, and then say, okay, we filed for divorce. And they say, oh, well, is it finished? Well, no, you just paid me to file it. Do you want to finish it? That's going to be more money. So they're kind of
Oh
doing like a
dear.
loss. Yeah, like a loss leader thing. We have people call us to finalize their paperwork, and they said, hey, I paid $1,000 to a paralegal, and I'll pull up their paperwork, and the case was filed, not finished, but I'll see that they filed a fee waiver on the case. So I'm like, oh, are you unemployed or on welfare or, this or that? And they're like, no, I'm a doctor at Henry Mayo. Why? I said, well, the $1,000 you paid, $435 of that was supposed to go to court fees, but they forged fee waiver paperwork so they could keep that and pocket that themselves.
Oh
So there's a
wow.
lot of unscrupulous stuff out there. I've reported to the courts, and it's just it goes nowhere, get no response. So very
Wow.
unregulated. Um,
Well, that in
that
itself
said,
is huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, and it just makes our profession look bad because, like I said, people don't know the difference.
Right.
But in do the difference between an attorney, a mediator, and what I do is we focus on the court process, putting them through the process. So we do the paperwork, we do the filings, we give information to help them make their decisions, but we don't mediate. We're not sitting in a room with them, helping them work and talk through their issues. We're not counseling them or coaching them. And we're not taking sides because we operate as a neutral third party. So it's completely up to the parties to reach an agreement. We will give them the information and resources. Our articles written by attorneys that maybe talk about how spousal support is determined, or the length, duration of support, or how child support works. Talking about community property. We're just because we're not an attorney. We're not allowed to give legal advice, but we can refer them and talk about known publicized legal references. So that's kind of the gray area. So I will relate that to them verbally, but I also send them the reference where that comes from so they can do their own research. So attorneys give legal advice. They handle and represent clients, handle litigated cases, and are usually working for one spouse or the other. Some are diving into the mediation realm as well, but most are doing litigation, representing parties in contested divorce actions. So that's kind of the attorney route. Mediators are supposed to be neutral third parties as well, but those are the folks that go down and probably by Zoom mostly these days, or in person, sit down with them and try to help work through their issues. Again, not taking sides generally, but giving them the information and resources and helping them work through the decisions they have to make in the process, such as, custody, visitation, child support, spouse support, and property division. And because we don't do those things, when someone comes in our door, through a consultation, I'll find out where they're at on the spectrum of their needs, make sure they're at least amicable and cooperative and want to reach an agreement. And then if we're going through the process and they're unable to make a decision on something based on the resources we provided and information we've given them, we can then refer them to a mediator so they could go sit with someone, hash that out, and then just come right back to us. And we can just move on with the process, assuming they're able to, the mediation portion helps. And that's why I like talking to other, mediators, interviewing them, certified divorce financial analysts and so forth, because I know who to send someone to if they're having issues, maybe addressing pension values and things like that. So that's kind of the difference between a paralegal, what we do is legal document assistants, a mediator, and an attorney.